You've got a podcast, you've got a YouTube channel, you've got a book, and this is stuff that you can recycle and rotate through and just keep on doing this with different topics to really grow your audience. You're teaching, you're building your email list, you're building your following. It's a combination of content creation and marketing.
Most hosts never achieve the results they hoped for. They're falling short on listenership and monetization, meaning their message isn't being heard and their show ends up costing them money. This podcast was created to help you grow your listenership and make money while you're at it. Get ready to take notes. Here's your host, Adam Adams.
Hey, what's up, podcaster? It is Adam Adams, your host, and I'm stoked because I've got Joe McCall on the podcast. And Joe has been somebody that I've looked up to for a long, long time. In fact, his podcast, which he started back in 2011, is one of the podcasts that I started listening to when I went full-time in real estate. I was a real estate investor in 2005 and for many, many years. I still do it. But in 2015, I said, I effing hate my job. I probably used different language than that, but I was like, I hate my job. I'm done. I'm going to be full-time real estate. And so I started listening to a few different podcasts out there, and Joe McCall's is one of them. So it's called Real Estate Investing Mastery. And we're going to be talking to him because he's had literally millions and millions and millions of downloads, 1,300 episodes over the course of all this time. And he's made more than $20 million since that time. So we want to talk to him and find out some of his experience, what he's learned, how he's grown, what he would do differently if he started today. Joe, thank you for jumping on. You were on my old podcast. You were on the Creative Real Estate podcast once upon a time.
I remember that.
Thank you for joining me again.
Thanks.
I want to start here. I want to start on monetizing a podcast. What are your thoughts on monetizing a show? How much of this 20-ish million do you think, come from the podcast over the last 12 years since you started?
That's almost impossible to know, because I started selling information, products, and services and stuff like that before I started my podcast in like 2010. I started getting invited to go speak at local real estate clubs, and I had a course at the time called Wholesaling Lease Options, and I started selling it in front of live events and made a lot of mistakes. And I remember thinking before I quit my job in 2009, I want to start a podcast someday, but I was too afraid to do it. When I started my podcast eventually in 2011, I remember thinking back then, I missed the boat. I remember thinking podcasting that wave is kind of come and gone. And a lot of people think like that today still. But I look at podcasting as a channel to put my content out there. There's podcast listeners, and there's YouTube viewers, and there's TikTok and Instagram. Like not everybody is all in one place at the same time. So podcasting is I've loved it for a long, long time because you don't have to have a huge audience to do well with it. So I've done everything that I do, all of my content, whether it's been speaking in front of a live audience, whether it's been doing YouTube videos, whether it's doing audio podcasts, I always try to drive them to some kind of call to action. And I also do a lot of Facebook ads as well, right? And I'm constantly giving away free things. For example, I have a contract right now that I give away for free for land investing. And if you go to simplelandcontract.com, you get on my list, get this free contract, and I'm going to promote things to you to get you to watch my webinar, to buy my course, and things like that. And once you're on my list, I got you. And I'm going to email you every day, almost every day, selling something. And I have a newsletter and stuff like that. So I don't really track how many emails I get from my podcast, because I'm giving that link, simplelandcontract.com, to people on YouTube, to Instagram, to Facebook, to podcasts, just to people I'm talking to on the street, Facebook ads. It all kind of goes into the same place. And so I'm always been building my list. So for me, the podcast...
Joe, I'm kind of surprised. I'm interrupting you. Just brief. I'm kind of surprised because you and I are in the same mastermind, Leadership Boardroom. I think you're in some others as well, or have been in some others as well. And I know there's a lot of really successful people in these groups. And one of the things that I hear almost every time I go to a retreat with a group is you can only... I don't remember if it was measure what you track or measure what you care about or track. Basically, the point is, I would say most people in that group would say you should have a certain link for this place, a certain link for that place, so that you could know where is the money coming from, so you know where to put more of your time, energy, and money. So I know I'm interrupting you. I'm just curious, Like, is that something that you've thought about or that you don't care about, or you're going to keep doing all of the things because you love all the things? Why aren't you tracking it?
That's a great question. And you should. I don't know. I've been too lazy or I'm going 100 miles an hour. And it's like, I create a lead magnet. I'm constantly creating front end lead magnets. Another good example of this on the YouTube side of things is Jerry Norton. He's got the Flipping Mastery YouTube channel, 450 something thousand subscribers. The guy's a beast. He did a video a few months ago he actually talked about his opt-ins, and I think in 2022 or 20, I don't know, in the last 12-month period when he was doing this, I'm trying to remember, maybe 300,000 opt-ins, right, from his YouTube channel. Now, obviously, if you're doing a bunch of content, you should have a different link for podcasts, different link for YouTube, different link for Facebook and whatever, Twitter. But that gets too hard for me. I'm just too busy doing that. So I'm constantly creating lead magnets. I've got, I don't know, I have 15 or 20 front-end lead magnets. So depending on what I'm talking about on the podcast or in a YouTube video, sometimes both at the same time, I'm always giving away. I just give away one link. I say, listen, I got a land flipping kit right now that I'm selling to, simplelandkit.com. It's free. I have a book that I used to sell. I think it's still up there, WLObook.com. You can get my wholesaling lease options book for just free plus shipping and handling. So I'm constantly giving these links out, WLObook.com. And I got a bunch of them. So it would be too hard in my head to remember. I don't want to tell people, hey, if you're on YouTube, go to this link. If you're on my podcast, go to this link. I just give them one link and all of that traffic kind of goes to there.
Okay.
I'm always building my list. I'm trying to deliver a ton of value, but in everything I do in all my content marketing, I'm constantly I'm focusing on building my list because that's the most important asset in my business. iTunes could shut me down. Spotify could shut my podcast down. YouTube could shut my channel down. But now, even if they did, I've got a list now. My email list, about 170,000. I only email about 70,000 because I constantly clean my list out and scrub my list. So that is something that is super important. That's the most valuable thing to me. And that's why I do the podcast. That's why I do videos and create content, is so I can build my email list.
I like that you're like, only 70,000 there. Because, I mean, the listener's like, oh, that's a lot.
You don't need
only
that much
70,000 because right? I clean it. Keep going.
You don't need to have a huge list. It's the quality of your list. It's the engagement in your list, right? Like I'm telling you, if you just had 5,000 or 10,000 email list and you're emailing them every day, and you're sitting down at the coffee shop every morning. There's a guy I follow. He's an internet marketing guy. His name is Ryan Lee. I love this guy. Keeps everything super, super simple. He just writes a daily email every morning from the coffee shop to his small little list. And he's doing close to $100,000 a month, just creating these small little products, building a relationship with people on his email list. I don't even think he does a podcast or any of that. But like, that's kind of the point of what we do. We're doing this so we can make money. I don't care about followers and likes and downloads necessarily and subscribers. I just care about the money coming in. And that's directly correlated to the size of my email list. And it's directly correlated to how many times I email that list. And even more accurately, the amount of money I make in my education business, publishing business, is directly correlated to the number of offers that I'm making. Constantly making offers. I'm selling things all the time. Create new offers, resell old offers. Maybe one week I'll say, hey, I got some open doors, open spots for my one-on-one coaching. Hey, I'm doing a workshop. I'm doing a challenge. I'm always selling something, always making offers. And when my revenue is starting to dip and gets low, it's because I haven't made an offer in a few weeks. So yeah, you can still make good money with a small list.
I love that. I was talking to, I think Sean, our mutual friend, mentioned to a few people at dinner one day that you were one of the best at these front-end offers. You were one of the best at coming up with these. You just mentioned a moment ago that sometimes you resell old offers. And I think Sean was saying something similar, like you might have an offer, but just repackage the way that it's shown and even sell the same person. They're like, oh, I think I already got this, because they'll be like, oh, that's such a compelling offer. And they might accidentally buy it twice. So I guess this offer part is a big deal. It seems like a big deal to you. You're mentioning in a lot of ways, you're always driving people to a call to action or to free content. You're always coming up with front end offers. You're constantly creating front end lead magnets. You're talking about even sometimes repackaging them or reselling them and making sure that you're doing it as much as possible, I think on your email list and on your podcast and probably wherever. So I want to be thinking, I'm a listener. I've probably got some type of coaching program, a consulting program. I probably got like a digital program. And I'm thinking to myself, I haven't really made very much money through my podcast. This guy that I'm listening to right now has made millions and millions and millions of dollars over the years. And so I want to understand, I'm getting the point that, hey, I've got to make more offers. How do we make sure that it's a good offer with a good pitch?
Okay, I'm going to brag on myself a little bit. Most of you guys know Russel Brunson. He's got this little software called ClickFunnels. He tracks a few thousand people once a year to his big old funnel hacking live thing. He did this book called 30 Days. If you lose everything, you had 30 days, what would you do? And he had a ClickFunnels account. And I wrote a chapter in this book. And I'm going to teach it. I think it's the best chapter in this entire book. He found 30 people in his inner circle coaching program thing and said, hey, would you write a chapter? What would you do? And I wrote a chapter 17, page 320. And you can get this book, by the way, at 30days.com. Okay. It's called the Mind Map Funnel. Can I walk you through this? This is what exactly, and you were going to ask me later, what would I do if I had to start all over again? So this is it. I would create a mind map. I would figure out who's my one customer.
Hey, let's do this, Joe. Let's do this. I want to definitely know where you're going with this. Let's take a quick commercial break for our sponsor. And then when we get back, I'm going to take the best notes for these step by step, where step one is going to be creating a mind map. We'll be right back. Hey, my friend, as you know, this episode is sponsored by my company, GrowYourShow.com. We want you to be able to have the best tools at your disposal without costing you a whole arm and a leg. So right now you can get a free list of vetted equipment that like mics, mixers, webcams, sound treatment, editing software, everything that you need. I created the whole PDF with direct purchase links just to save you time and money, to help it be more convenient for you. So this free PDF will help you skip all the guesswork. If it's on there, it's vetted and approved by yours truly. And if it's not on there, it's probably not worth the money. So go ahead and get yours at growyourshow.com/PDF. Let's get back into the show. We're back with the Joe McCall. Joe, is that okay that I call you the Joe McCall?
No.
We're back with Joe McCall. And we're going to be learning how, if you're like starting from scratch, and some of us listening, we are starting from scratch. What are going to be the step-by-steps in order to make the most amount of money in the least amount of time? And step one is mind map.
So this chapter, I'm not going to read it to you, but there's some steps involved. This chapter is only 10 pages long, 15. It took me a couple of weeks to write it, but this is what I would do to this. The cool thing about this, I call it the mind map funnel. The cool thing about this is a way you can start a podcast, start growing a list, and start selling services and write a book all in one fell swoop. And I've taught this before, and usually when I teach it, everybody's eyes just glaze over and they're like, what? I'm confused. But the people that get it, they're like, holy smokes, that's great. That's awesome. That's amazing. So if I had to start all over again, didn't have a list, I lost everything, this is what I would do. I would sit down and I would ask myself, I call it the fastest path to cash. And I would say, like, what is it that I really, really love doing? Well, for me, I love real estate investing. I love marketing, and I love helping people make money. That gets me excited. And I know real estate investing really, really well. And I love the marketing side of real estate investing. I talk about this a lot. We're not in the real estate investing business. We're in the marketing business. So what could I do that could really help my clients get fast results? And so I think I could offer some kind of one-on-one coaching to help them and partner with them on deals and do their marketing for them. Like, people want to make money. What do they really want? They want to do deals. They want to make money, but they're not good at the tech side of things. They're not good at marketing. So for me, I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to make an offer. I'm thinking the end in mind. My offer is going to be one-on-one coaching, because that's the fastest way to start making money in this thing. One-on-one coaching. And I'm not going to sit down and create a product and then create a webinar and then try to sell it with Facebook ads. Just thinking, if this is what I want to sell, one-on-one coaching for $5 or $10 grand. And I will work with you and I'll partner with you on deals and do kind of the stuff you don't want to do for you. Now, I call this the 5 1s. The next thing I would write down are, what are the 5 1 things? You know, I'm thinking about one person, one product, one conversion tool, one traffic source, and 1 year to focus on these one things. So I'm thinking, who is my customer? It's the guy who wants to get into real estate investing. What's my product? My product is going to be one-on-one coaching, consulting. My conversion tool is going to be a phone call, book a call, right? That's going to be my conversion tool. My one traffic source is going to be podcasting or maybe YouTube. Make it into both. I'm going to show you how you can turn this into a YouTube and a podcast, and then soon a book and all of that stuff. Okay, now I'm going to start creating the content. So what I'd like to do is I like to use mind maps. And there's a tool I use, MindMeister.com. It's free, but then it's a little premium after that. The cool thing about MindMeister is you can create a mind map and share your view-only links with people. Okay, you can share like a link where they can't get in there and mess with it and download it. They can just view it. Well, they can actually download it, I think. They get a MindMeister account, but I don't care. I'm going to start creating content. Day one, I'm going to start mapping out my content, and maybe I'm going to create 30-day mind map course called Marketing Secrets for Real Estate Investors. 30 days to 100 motivated seller leads. Okay? And I know that's what my ideal customer wants. They want leads. So I'm going to create a 30-day course. And each of these courses, these videos are going to be 15 to 20 minutes long, nothing much. Maybe 30 minutes max, but like digestible. And so I'm going to start mapping this out. Day one, I'm going to cover this, this, and this. Maybe the first few days is like how to pick the right markets. Where do you find the right deals? Maybe the next one is like 5 best free marketing strategies, and then the 5 best semi-premium marketing, and then the 5 best paid marketing strategies. And then I'm going to talk about CRMs. I'm going to talk about kind of throwing out, brainstorming all of my ideas. I'm putting it out there on the mind map, and then I'm organizing it by days. Day one, I'm going to talk about this, and I can move things around and I can expand things out and stuff like that.
Again, real quick, you mentioned in the beginning that the fastest path to cash is usually one-on-one coaching. It's faster, it's easier. And you talk about the mind map and the MindMeister software in order to create your mind map, and how you start to figure out the content for 30 days and just then the different subjects that can really help that person. And I think that there is a listener who's like a little confused, and they're saying, well, is he talking about one-on-one coaching, or is he talking about a 30-day course? So what is it? And is this just part of the funnel, and how does it work? Just kind of high level.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Okay. All right.
I'm not selling this content. I'm giving away this content for free to build an audience, to build a list, to say, hey, do you want me to just do this for you? That's my goal with this. So I'm getting there. Now, I've got this content on a mind map. It doesn't have to all be done, but I'm going to turn on my camera, get a mic. Doesn't have to be fancy. I like a program called Loom. It's super cheap, Loom. You can record your audio, your video, your webcam, and your screen. All right. And I'm going to start putting a lot of valuable stuff into this mind map. And I'm going to start teaching as I'm going through this. All right, guys, welcome. This is, what did I call it? Marketing Secrets for Real Estate Investors, 30 days to 100 motivated seller leads. Day one, I'm going to be talking about how to find the best markets to target. And I'm going to show them. And there's tools and resources and spreadsheets that I use. There's things like that. And so in the mind map, I'm going to open it up. So I'm sharing my screen. I'm a little bubble in the lower left or something like that. And I'm teaching them. And I'm saying at the end of the day one, by the way, guys, if you want this mind map for free, which has all these cool things in it, just go to joesmindmap.com. You get this thing for completely free. All right. Stay tuned. Tomorrow, the next day, I'm going to be talking about how to find the best buyers in these top zip codes. All right. So boom, that's done. Day two, I open up the mind map and I have my content in there, and I have links to all of my best resources are in the mind map. So I'm showing in the mind map, me clicking, here's a spreadsheet, here's a contract, here's a checklist, here's a link to my 5 top favorite places to find buyers. And so I'm just clicking these links and showing them on my screen what I'm doing. All right. By the way, at the end, guys, if you want this mind map, it's completely free, no strings attached. Just go to joesmindmap.com and you'll get this thing, right? What am I doing? I'm teaching this concept and breaking it out over 30 days, showing them what I'm doing by doing it. So I'm teaching them by doing it. So I'm kind of demonstrating it and showing them if they want this valuable stuff, these links, these resources, they need to get my mind map to get it. Are you with me now? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now all of a sudden, I'm creating this content, I'm recording it, and I start releasing these videos, an audio podcast every day. Welcome to day 15 of my 30 days to 100 marketing secrets, things like that, right? Now What am I doing? I'm building an audience. They're coming back to my channel. They subscribe to my channel because they want to see the next one. They've subscribed to my podcast. This could be audio or video. So then when they opt in to get the mind map, the next thing here is I'm going to create my offer. And it's real simple. On the thank you page, hey, thank you so much. The link to the mind map, it's in the email on its way to you. But let me tell you a little bit about who I am and what I've got here, because I think I got something that might be of interest to you, right? I'm showing you how to do all of this stuff. How would you like my one-on-one help? How would you like me to help you do this stuff? And I can coach you through the process, and I can help you actually do this stuff for you. You might be overwhelmed with all these different things. So now I'm pitching into my offer. I've got a few open spots down below. Click on the ScheduleOnce or Calendly link down below to get on my calendar. And let's talk to see if maybe we can work together. It's not free, but I promise you it's worth it. In fact, I've got this cool thing that I do where I will reimburse you your coaching fee out of our first 3 deals that we do together. Okay. So it makes it an absolute no-brainer. You get on the phone, you tell them, hey, my coaching is $5,000, is $10,000, and this is what we do and all of that. Right? You with me now? So it's just a simple little VSL after they opt in to get the free thing. And the opt-in is very simple. It's just a picture of a mind map and it's a headline. Get the 30-day marketing secrets mind map, opt in, click down below, put in your email. The next page is a thank you video with an invitation to book a call down below. Now you have their email address, right? Now you create a 10, 15, 20, 30-day sequence, emailing them. Hey, did you get the link? Click on down below to get the mind map. Hey, do you want to see the library of all the videos? Here's a playlist of all of the videos of the content that I did. Click here. And then the next email is, hey, are you interested in getting some one-on-one coaching? Do you want some help? Let me know. Just reply to this email. So it's real simple. You could create 10 to 20 simple emails that just go out every day. Then after that, they get into your regular daily email sequence where you're just emailing everybody a 1 or 2 page, simple 1-page email of what's going on. All right. So now my program is, one thing you could do is you could sell that mind map for $7, $5. You could say, hey, listen, you guys, if you want this mind map, it's just $5. Go to joesmindmap.com to get it. And promise you, if you don't like it, I'll refund your money and you can keep the mind map. You can keep all the resources. Okay. So I've got the thank you page. The other thing, if you do charge money, the cool thing about that, if you charge $1, $5 through Stripe or something like that, now you have their physical mailing address and you can actually send them a letter in the direct mail, snail mail, to sell them to coaching.
Can you explain that real quick? How do we get their address just because they might have spent $1?
Because when they put in their credit card information, they're putting in their address as well. You can require it or not, but you could say that we want their billing address, right? Okay. So then everything that follow-up emails that you're doing could be some frequently asked questions. It could be whatever. So now you've created this asset of this mind map, and then you've got these 30-day videos, just 15 to 20 minutes. Now, what do you do with that? Well, you can publish a video on YouTube. You can email and text your list about the new video that was just released. Hey, I just released day 23 talking about this. Go check it out. You can push this out there on YouTube, on Facebook, as an audio podcast. Then you can put this out there on social media, on your Instagrams, do shorts or whatever, right? Then you can text people that got it or downloaded it and say, hey, ask them questions. You know, what did you think of the video? Do you have any questions? Anything I can help you with? Tell me a little bit more about your business. What are some of your pain points and struggles? And start asking questions. One of the best things that you could do is put out a 9-word email. Hey, are you still looking for help? This is a 9-word email. It's a strategy, just like 1-sentence question with no call to action in the email itself. It says, hey, are you still looking for help with doing deals? All right, so I got one more thing. I'm not done with this yet. What do you have now? You got this valuable mind map with this incredible free resources, okay? You've taught this stuff. Now you have a video series of 30 days of you talking about the real estate marketing secrets. You've got 30 channels or 30 videos on your YouTube channel, and maybe you release these videos every day, every 3 days. Now you can take all that content, you can get it transcribed, put it into AI, turn it into a book. Now you've got a book you could sell for free plus shipping, create a free plus shipping book funnel, or create a PDF book that you sell for $5. Hey, I got a free book here where that's going to show you how to get more leads than you can handle in 30 days or less if you're a real estate investor. Are you a real estate investor struggling to get leads? Are you tired of spending thousands of dollars on marketing that doesn't work anymore? I've got a book here where I'm going to show you exactly step by step how to get more leads than you could handle. And it's only $5. All you need to do is put your information down below and I'll send it to you. All right. So then they opt in, they buy that book or whatever. And then you have as an upsell, hey, would you like the videos of me doing all of this stuff so you can see what I'm doing? It's just an extra $15. Click the button down below. And then as the upsell at the very end, or as on the thank you page, it's like, hey, I'm going to be teaching you a lot of things. If you would like the fast track to success, if you want to start getting leads now and not even worry about this book or watching all these videos or whatever, book a call with me. Let's get on the phone and I can just do all of this for you if you're interested. Okay. And then that could be your pitch then into coaching. So the whole thing that I'm thinking about creating this is I'm doing a bunch of podcasts, doing a bunch of videos, creating this content and then delivering it. But I'm showing them as I'm teaching it, this really incredibly valuable thing that has all these links in it to resources and contracts and checklists. And they have to get it. If they like what you're talking about, they want to get it. It's free. It's $5. They opt in to get it. Now they're on your email list. Now you can start emailing them every day. And you've got a podcast, you've got a YouTube channel, you've got a book. And this is stuff that you can recycle and rotate through and just keep on doing this with different topics to really grow your audience. You're teaching, you're building your email list, you're building your following. It's a combination of content marketing, content creation, and marketing to grow your list. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It does. It makes sense. And I have maybe a couple of follow-up questions on some of these things. The first one is going toward quote that you just mentioned. You said, now they're on your email list. You say they did this thing for free or they did this thing for a small amount of money. Now they're on your email list. And it's taking me back to a time that I was importing emails from maybe it was from Mailchimp to HubSpot or something like that. But I was going from one place to another place. And I went and started to import these emails that I had for a long time. And the platform asked me a question. It said something like, hey, how did you get these emails? And I replied in these ways. Here's some of the ways. And they go, okay, can you send us to that website? And what I did, I sent them to one of the websites. They went in and they found out that it didn't specifically say that I could email them. It didn't say you're going to be on my email list. So I just want to know what you do to combat that, what you do to hit that ahead of time so that you can email them, because some of the platforms, they're going to try to be careful and protect people's emails. So what do you do to make sure that you're on the up and up?
Well, that's a good question. I've used ClickFunnels for years. The emails go into, I use Infusionsoft. I don't know if I'd recommend that. And so I've just been emailing through Infusionsoft. So if you're using GetResponse or Actionetics or whatever they are right now, people are using, just stick with it, and just use it. I don't know what other tools there are. There are a lot of them out there right now, but it's a real simple opt-in page where it just says, where would you like us to email a link to the mind map? They put in their email, they click on the button, and then the thank you page. Look, do you want me to share my screen? I can show you one of them that I have now.
Well, my main listener probably won't be able to see it, so you can share it with me if you'd like to, but just know that the main listener probably is just going to be hearing it.
Yeah. All right. So it's real simple. It's an opt-in page. There's a headline. This one example here says free wholesaling 101 mind map. There's an image of the mind map. It says the simplest and fastest way to do deals. Put your email in here. There's a button that says send me the special flip mind map. And then I have some bullet points of inside this free wholesaling 101 mind map, you'll get blah, blah, blah. There's about 7 points in there. When they put their email address and they click the button, it says, okay, the next page says, hey, thank you. The link to the mind map has been emailed to you. Please give it a few minutes. Check your spam folder. In the meantime, I want to invite you to watch the special free class I put together on the power of lease options and why they're the easiest house deals to do for fast and easy cash. And so there's a link here, a button invitation to register for an evergreen webinar that I have. All right. There's not even a video on the thank you page here.
When you say evergreen webinar, which I take as it's a webinar that was once recorded and people can watch it 5 days from now, 10 years from now, or however long it's up.
Yeah.
What I'm curious about is when they watch it, are they thinking that they're live?
No.
Or they know that they're watching a recording?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't pretend to ever be live.
Okay.
And I use different tools. Right now, we're switching everything over to stealth seminar, I think it is. But there is WebinarFuel is a really good tool. EverWebinar is a good one. But the simplest one probably is WebinarFuel. It's a really good tool. If you were to look at my screen right now, when they click on that, yes, register for me, I'm sent to another page where they can click to register for the next time that I do this webinar, that its broadcast is in 4 hours at 8 o'clock or tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So that's kind of what they do. And then they walk through that process there. That's a whole nother topic. Here's something a little simpler. This is a free one-page land flipping contract. So I might do a podcast talking about this contract, and I might hold it up as I'm doing maybe YouTube, or I'm talking about it on the audio podcast and say, hey guys, if you want this contract, it's completely free. Just go to simplelandcontract.com. And they put in their email address. And then the next page is, hey, your free one-page land flipping contract is on its way to your inbox. But while you wait, I've prepared something special for you. And it's a video down below. And it says, hey, I got a special class where I'm going to teach you actually how to use this contract. If you're interested, click the button down below. And that button then takes them to a webinar registration page where they can register for my webinar. And it's an automated webinar. So you may not want to do automated webinars, or you just want to maybe do, hey, thank you. The book, the mind map, the thing is on its way. If you're interested in learning how to do marketing, I got a special offer here that's going to blow your socks off. So pay attention. It'll just take me a couple minutes to talk about it. And then you talk about your program. And if you want to book a call or get on the phone and talk to see if there's any way I can help you, then click the button down below and let's talk.
Yeah, good stuff. I want to share a little bit like what I'm hearing and see if there's anything that I'm misunderstanding or that you want to fill in. So prior to the break, we talked about a few things. So we started about selling before you ever launched the podcast. And I have a question on that. So if the listener remembers back toward the very, very, very beginning, Joe mentioned that he quit his job 2009 and he wanted to start a podcast. It took him a couple of years to start the podcast. He had started selling, I don't remember if we said courses or what, let's just call it content for now. And then he started a podcast a couple of years after. And so, Joe, I just want to ask you, as somebody who was already doing it, was already making money, and then you started a podcast, do you feel that the podcast has been valuable to you, or do you genuinely just wish that you would have just kept selling the way that you did before?
Oh, the podcast has been huge, right? I mean, here's the deal. Podcast is the best way to consume content because you've got somebody's 100% undivided attention. They got you in their ears, right? And so they're driving, they're working out, they're on their bike or something like that. And there's not a bunch of ads that are flashing up all around them. Like if they're on YouTube, the average people watch only 25% of the video, let's just say, right? And there's a ton of other videos there. There's ads that are popping up. But the average listen time of a podcast is like 85, 90%. It's way, way higher, right? The other thing that a lot of people don't think about is the average income of a podcast listener is the highest of all of the social media channels. YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and all of that. The average income of a podcast listener is highest. So it's a great medium to find the best customers with the ones who have the money. And so I like it because you have their attention. It's much more intimate. Like I started doing these podcasts, I called them REI in your car. And I copied it from Russel Brunson, who was doing marketing secrets in your car. And basically I just get my phone and I record while I'm driving. And I talk about something that's going on. Usually these are 10-minute, 15-minute podcasts. I talk about a deal that I'm doing or a coaching call I just had with a client or something that I was inspired by. And I just talk about it. And I say, hey guys, how you doing? Joe here. I'm in the car. I just dropped my daughter off at gymnastics heading home. It's a beautiful day today. And I was just thinking about this. I was listening. Just had a call earlier today and had a client who had this problem. And this is what I told her to do. I think this might be helpful for you all too. Or it could be, I was just working on this deal. Let me tell you what happens. Let me tell you why I screwed up and there's a mistake that I made. And so I'm just teaching kind of while I'm driving. So one time I got a complaint from somebody that said, Joe, you're just talking way too much. Like, get to the point, hurry up. And then I felt bad. Next podcast, I said, hey, I just got to apologize. I feel bad. I'm driving in the car and I'm just spending way too much time talking about my family or what's going on in my day. And I'm sorry. I'm just going to start getting right to the point better. Thank you to whoever complained, right? And then I got flooded with more emails after that saying, what are you talking about? We love that. We feel like we're sitting in the car with you when you're driving. And he was also complaining about the background noise, because at the time I drove this big diesel truck and he was complaining about it being too loud. And so I also apologize for the background noise. This is a professional podcast. I should have better mics and better cameras and all that. But people are like, no, it feels like we're there in the car with you. And if you listen to NPR or any talk radio, they do a lot of these news stories where you hear the environment and the people that are outside. They'll do interviews in a coffee shop and you can hear the noise in the background. So it makes them feel like they're more right there with you. I do have my podcast editor maybe take out the ums and the ahs and the pauses, but they can hear the click, tock, tick tock of my turn signal in my car, right? Don't take that out. Keep it in there. So that is a great way to do content. And you're going to have a better relationship with podcast listeners than you will with YouTube viewers or anybody on social media. That's why I love podcasting. I think I'm never going to stop doing it. I feel like it's a great way to connect with your audience. You don't have to have a big audience to do well with it. You just need to be consistent with it. You need to be genuine. And the less professional, the less scripted, the better. It's got to be genuine. And you also still need to deliver good content and value, not talk about the same thing every single time, but talk about your challenges and your struggles and the deals and successes that you've been doing that, and always be thinking about how can you take what these things that I've done and use them to your advantage to avoid the same mistakes I did, or to copy, just duplicate what I'm doing and have success with it as well.
Yeah, it makes sense. And you mentioned that we probably shouldn't talk about the exact same thing every single time. And I'm curious how you find balance after 1,300 plus episodes. How do you find balance to, I guess the best way to say it is, Joe, you know Kathy Fetke?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, you know of her. Okay, she had launched a podcast a long, long time ago. She had a radio show. She's been on CBN, NBC, Fox, and a bunch of others. She's pretty well known. And a lot of the times that I go to a conference, she's speaking. She ended up hiring us to grow her audience. And she went from a humongous number of downloads per episode, and it went to like 33%. And when she hired us, it was to do paid ads. So we were doing like paid advertising to get her in front of the right people. And the first thing that I noticed after listening to some of the episodes, I said, no wonder you've lost some listeners. No wonder you went from like 120,000 down to 40,000 people, because you're talking above everybody. You're talking over everybody. You got bored, Kathy. I think she had done 1,300 some odd episodes at the time. I was like, you got bored. And so you're now teaching this higher level stuff that's like way above your avatar. And then we've got you saying, don't talk about the same thing every time.
Well, yeah, that's a really good question, because you got to remember where people are at. And a lot of times we as podcasters, we're growing in our business and we're doing bigger and better things. But most people that listen to us, they're still down here. They're still beginners. So I'm not saying like you shouldn't be talking about the same thing every day, but maybe every few months you can still go back and talk about those things again. One of the reasons why, Sean Terry was a big guy in podcasting at the time. And you listen to his podcasts when he was doing a lot of them. He hasn't done them in a long time, but the first 15 minutes of every episode, he would talk about the same thing. What is wholesaling and how does it work? And this is the way a typical deal works. And his audience grew and loved it. And yeah, maybe if somebody got annoyed that he would say the same thing at the beginning of each episode, but I learned a lot from that. And the people that are successful in podcasting, they are kind of talking about the same thing over and over and over again. What it is that they're doing is they're remembering who their audience is. The majority of your audience is going to be beginners. They're going to be people that are where you were. They're going to be people that are where you were back 10 years ago when you got started. And that's what they're listening to you for, is they want to learn how you got to where you are today. So in a certain sense, you do need to be talking about the same thing over and over again. Try to find different ways to talk about it. But here's the other thing. We think everybody listens to every podcast we send. Everybody reads every email we write. Everybody watches every 100%. Video, reads every post. No, that's arrogant. Like, nobody's listening to everything you say. They're maybe listening to 5% of the podcasts you produce. They're reading 1 out of every 20 emails that you send. Yeah. And so you got to remember that and not think that, man, they got to be sick of hearing this.
I should mention to the listener, before somebody thinks that Kathy didn't get her listeners back, that at least I said, hey, you got to change it so that you are talking just like you just said, Joe. Remember who your audience is. And remember that your audience, like you said, don't be arrogant and assume that they've followed you the entire way. So she made that change and she started like going back to more of the basics, even though she got bored after thousands of episodes. She just went back to the basics and we started doing some ads and then she got
Let me say something else too. This is important. I've seen my audience podcast listeners go down when I start doing YouTube videos and I'm talking to my YouTube audience, right? This is a big deal. A lot of people think that they can do both. When you're doing YouTube, you need to talk to YouTube. When you're doing podcast audience, you need to talk to a podcast audience. And you could be doing a YouTube video, but Adam, what you did was so good there because you know most of your audience is listening, not watching. So I wanted to show something and you said, oh, wait a sec. Let's talk about what you're showing for all of our audio listeners, right? And so I've noticed when I get away from that, it's not like you can just take a video that you've done, strip the audio, release it as an audio podcast and expect it to do well. Joe Rogan can maybe do that, all right? But I'm not Joe Rogan. I can't do that. So I do best on my audio podcasts in terms of downloads and stats. When I'm doing a podcast, it's just for my podcast audience. I'm just talking to them. I'm not doing anything visual. I'm in my car, or when I do an interview like this, I'm really careful with saying things like, okay, so look at my screen here, or can you show us what you mean by that? Or can we look at, and then if I am, I'm like, okay, guys, listen, if you're listening to this on the audio podcast right now, I'm sorry. We're just going to show you something here. But if you want to see what we're doing, then go to my YouTube channel and search for the video there. But I'm trying to constantly think of my audio podcast audience when I'm doing my content. Does that make sense? Because they can tell. They're going to be
not only does it make sense, but I think it's brilliant. I think that it's the right way to do it. And no wonder that you have the audience that you do and that you've made the money that you have through the things that you've put out. Let me wrap up today's episode. I might have a couple of questions. If I do, Joe, just give me the quick answer of them because we'll just jump out. But a couple things that I'm hearing you say that we haven't talked about yet, or just to remind the listener, Joe's always driving people to a call to action. So that's a big thing, driving them to free content, driving them to a lead magnet, driving to some place outside of the podcast. So my takeaway there for you who's listening is, honestly, please don't be afraid of a call to action. Like, you probably, not every single one of you, but you might think in your heart, like, oh, I'm a sellout if I make any offers. That's not the case. You're not only are you helping that person, but you're also going to be able to make more money, just like Joe has been able to do $20 million in products, services, and consulting over the years. Once they're on Joe's list, he says, I got you. Once they're on the list, I got you. So he does as many front end lead magnets as possible. He's focused on the email list, not just the podcast. If you recall, he also said, I don't really care about the number of downloads that I'm getting. I don't really care about the number of listeners. Some of these metrics are less important to Joe than it is to how many people are on the list and how many offers is he making. Because he said the amount of money that he makes and the amount of people that he can help is directly correlated with the amount of offers that he is using. He makes a lot of offers. He resells old offers. He's constantly letting people know what he's doing. Some of these things he does on YouTube, some he does on podcast, etc. Then we talked about the fastest path to making money for you. If Joe was starting all over, he'd probably focus on one-on-one coaching, and to build it up, he would do that 30 days of content. He would use MindMeister. The link is in the show notes. He would use Loom. The link is in the show notes. He would use ScheduleOnce or Calendly. Those links are in the show notes today. Scroll down, you can see all the stuff that he's using. And he mentioned that one of the ways that he brings up the offer is like, he'll say, like, you can do this with me. He goes, it's not free, but I promise it's worth it. I love it. Like, so they know that it's a premium price. They know they're going to be spending something, and they understand at the same time that it's more of an investment, not an expense. So they're going to be getting their money back somehow. I think he even mentioned like giving some type of guarantee. In this case, it'll be paid for within 3 different deals that you do. And then he mentioned kind of like the next step after doing this funnel with creating the content, that it goes toward when they take advantage of that, when they schedule on ScheduleOnce or Calendly, that they'll get a 10-day, 15-day, or 20-day email sequence where they get things like videos, FAQs, or even offers, like where he talked about the 9-word email. Hey, are you still looking for help with deals? He also talked about social media and texting people. So for example, you've done this first step, you can also post it on social, and you can also utilize tools. Joe, you might have a tool for text messaging, but you can also utilize tools to support you in those text messages, or you can just take those phone numbers and text the people that already got that thing. Joe also used a term earlier, and I took a long time to get to it. And so I apologize to you, the listener. If you've never heard of VSL before, Joe, what does VSL stand for?
Video sales letter.
Okay. I thought it was virtual sales letter, but okay. Video sales letter. Love it. Virtual sales letter. So you push them toward a VSL. And one of the things that you say is, do you want me to just do this for you? I think that sounds like such an easy thing. It's like, all right, I'm in this 30-day thing and I might be confused. You might be explaining it well, but maybe I don't have the time. And then that offer comes at just the right moment. It's like, sure, I'll take advantage. And another takeaway is remember who your audience is. If you talk above them and you use words like VSL and you don't explain it to the person, they're lost, or IRR or cash on cash or whatever the term might be. Make sure you're with your listener and you know who they are. And like Joe said, you don't assume that they've been with you for all 1,300 episodes.
Yeah.
Joe wants them to be, but unfortunately, not everybody's listened to every single episode. Any other takeaways, Joe?
Man, the key to this all is consistency. And if you're not, I say this all the time, people who want to start a podcast, if you're not committed to do this, even if you have nobody that listens for 3 years, don't even start. Maybe 3 years is a long time. How about 1 year? Okay. Like you've got to be that long. You have to have that long of a view, that long of a horizon on this. And I would tell you, don't even look at your stats for the first couple, 3 years, because that gets discouraging as well.
You know, but I love that, Joe, because we don't work with people. I ask them on our discovery call. I say, if they're like launching a brand new podcast, I say, are you willing to do this for at least the next 3 years? And if they say no, I always say, we might not be your team. I don't think we want to serve you. Like, you got to be thinking about the long term.
Well, this is another really important thing. You can't be just another Me Too product, a Me Too podcast. You've got to find a unique hook, some kind of big idea. So if I were to start a podcast again, now at the time when I started Real Estate Investing Mastery, you got to remember there were only 3 or 4 or 5 podcasts on real estate investing. So at the time, Real Estate Investing Mastery was a niched podcast. I would never start a new one like that today. I would be more niched down into a niche within a niche, maybe land investing and even then there's a lot of them that are coming out now, land investing. Maybe it would be a podcast just on wholesaling, maybe, but what is like a strategy? What is something that you're good for? What about, I was talking about marketing. What if it's just a podcast on marketing? What if it's just a podcast on technology in real estate? I'm thinking things in my niche, right? But whatever niche you're in, can't just be another Me Too thing. And I'll say this too. When I started doing, Sean Terry gave me the idea, why don't you just interview other people that are doing real estate investing? Because at the time there was a book that was popular in the stock market world called Stock Market Wizards. And he said, because it was just an interview of people who were doing really well in the stock market. He said, why don't you do the real estate investing wizards? I thought, that's weird. So I thought, how about real estate investing masters? And then I came up with mastery. And I started interviewing people for my podcast, right? Nobody was really kind of doing that. Now everybody is doing, ever since John Lee Dumas with Fire, and he's still doing that. But like everybody's now doing interviews. So look at what the market's doing and don't do what everybody else is doing. I do interviews occasionally once in a while, but when I'm doing an interview, I don't want to interview people that are just going to tell me about how awesome they are and how they went from rags to riches. I don't care about that. I want to interview people that are going to teach something. I want to interview people on my podcast that are going to say, all right, well, this is how you can go from zero to this. I get 5 emails a day from these publishing companies. Hey, can I be on your show? And they talk about me, and how awesome I am. And usually it's not even them that's sending me the email. And I'm sure you've talked about that a lot, the right way and the wrong way to do that. But like, I don't care about you. My audience doesn't care about you. All they care about is themselves. They're the heroes in the story. We aren't. So if you're going to be guests on podcasts, if you want to be guests on someone else's podcast, come to them with like, all right, your audience, I think, is interested in this. And I think this is a common problem that your audience has. And I could do a free podcast teaching them how to get this without doing that. The 5 tips, the 5 tools, the 5 things that I use to get this result that your people want. And I'm going to teach this for completely free. And yeah, when you're teaching that, you can tell a little bit about your story. So when you're thinking of content, think about who your customer is and what their problems are and teach on that stuff, right? Teach on those problems. You could go to, there's SEO keyword research tools, and you can find the top 20, 30, 50 questions that your target customer is asking.
Yeah.
And just do an episode on each one of those. And then you'll have content for life.
That is a brilliant place to end this episode, is letting us know that we should be getting on other people's podcasts. And if we do, the best way is to remember, don't be like, I'm this. Talk about your listener wants this result. I can share these things that can help them.
And I'm going to teach them how to go from here to there in 5 steps.
Mm-hmm.
Like not how I started from zero and raised $500 million and now own 3,000 doors. Nobody cares. I get so frustrated. I block everybody that emails me and I mark them as spam. And I'm getting 3 to 5 of those a day.
Love it. Hey, Joe, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for even going over with me a little bit as well. I really appreciate it. I think that the listener got a ton of value. Awesome. And for you, the listener, the Real Estate Investing Mastery Podcast and the other links that Joe mentioned today, for example, Loom, MindMeister, ScheduleOnce, Calendly, his website, and any social that he wanted you to have, all of that's down in the show notes. So you go ahead and scroll down, click, and you can connect with Joe there. And I will see you on the next episode. By the way, one way to ensure that you don't miss out on great content that we're producing on a regular basis is to make sure you're subscribed to the show. You need to be subscribed or following the Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to it in order not to miss all of that. And before I let you go, I need to mention, because a lot of people are asking, do you help? Can you help me with this? And the answer is yes. My company actually does it. It's called Grow Your Show. And you can find that at growyourshow.com. Our clients, they call us the easy button for podcaster because they simply have to record their episode. And they know that every single thing else is done for them. We sweat the hard stuff so you can be the star of your show. And if you would like help to make sure that we're editing and publishing and promoting and doing your social media, it's all in one place. And I think it's pretty affordable. You'll have to take a look for yourself. Just go to growyourshow.com and check us out. And by the way, I'll see you on the next episode.